Chosen one. Stop for a moment. Everything around you has paused because heaven is demanding your attention. You were never meant to stumble upon this message by chance. This is divine appointment. You have entered the exact second that God designed before time began. Every sound, every breath, every heartbeat right now is under divine orchestration. The Spirit has been chasing you through silence, through exhaustion, through all the moments you thought no one saw you. And now, heaven speaks directly. You cannot skip this. You've tried to move on, tried to silence the pull inside your chest. But the weight of destiny will not let you rest. You sense it in your bones. Something sacred is pressing in. You've been chosen not just to shine, but to endure, to walk through the process others avoided. You are standing on holy ground. And this interruption is not punishment, it's calling. There is no shortcut to glory. Every chosen one must walk through fire, through testing, through refinement. God will not allow you to bypass what was designed to build you. You may think it's delay, but it's direction. You may think it's rejection, but it's redirection. Heaven has hidden you on purpose to prepare you for impact. The Word of God in Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 2, declares, "Remember how the Lord your God led you through the wilderness for 40 years, humbling and testing you to prove your character." Do you see it? Chosen one, even wilderness seasons are divine classrooms. You were led there, not lost there. God Himself allowed the path to be rough so that your faith would become unshakable. You are not being punished, you are being purified. The silence was the sound of heaven working in secret, removing everything that could not go with you into your next chapter. You may not understand why the process hurts so deeply, but obedience always costs something. Every chosen soul must face the moment where comfort collides with calling. That's where you are right now. You can feel the tension between what you want and what God requires. You can sense that He's asking you to let go of what no longer serves your destiny. You've cried, you've asked for answers, and yet the same whisper keeps returning. Stay, endure, obey, because God will not allow His chosen to skip the stage that strengthens their spirit. Every trial carries revelation, and every test refines trust. The wilderness is not a delay, it is divine design. The Spirit says, if you skip this, you'll miss the power I placed inside the process. What He is forming in you is not ordinary strength, it's holy resilience. What He is awakening in you is not simple faith, it's warrior faith. The kind that walks through fire and still worships. You are not weak, you are being prepared to carry something eternal. So don't despise the weight you feel. Don't curse the season that feels silent. Heaven is working beneath the surface, and what is hidden will soon be revealed. The anointing that rests on you was never meant to come cheap. It's forged through tears, through pressure, through surrender. That's why God won't let you skip this. There are others watching you, though you may not see them. Your obedience is unlocking doors for people you haven't even met. Your endurance is preaching louder than any words. Every yes you give to God shakes the realm of darkness. You are the evidence that faith still works, that surrender still brings power, that light still conquers night. You've reached the point of no return. Heaven has invested too much in you to let you walk away now. You've been marked for impact, sealed for purpose, and set apart for glory. There's no running back to what you used to be. The fire has already branded your soul. The only path forward is through the process God ordained. So lift your head. Chosen one. Wipe your tears. Stand tall. Heaven is with you in every step of this journey. You are not forgotten, you are being fortified. The same God who led Israel through the wilderness is leading you now through your proving ground. And just as they entered promise after obedience, so will you. If this word speaks to your spirit, don't scroll away. Let your obedience start with a simple act of faith. Like, share, and subscribe, so this message can reach others who are walking through their own refining season. And in the comments, write this number, 777. It's a prophetic declaration that your process is complete in His timing, not yours. By writing it, you say to heaven, I will not skip what you have ordained. I will walk through until purpose is fulfilled. Then the heavens take notice when you move in faith. The moment you obey, the atmosphere around you begins to shift. You can feel the weight of it, can't you? The heaviness that sits on your chest when everyone else seems free to live however they please. Yet you cannot move without feeling the pull of something higher. That is the mark of the chosen. You are set apart. And the separation is not punishment, it is proof of purpose. The ones who carry divine assignments always walk under a heavier sky. The pressure you feel is not random. It's the sound of heaven reminding you that you were never created for ordinary patterns. You sense it when you try to fit in, but peace vanishes the moment you do. You sense it when you try to compromise. Yet conviction burns louder than comfort. That inner tension is not failure, it's divine preservation. God guards His chosen even from themselves. You've been asking why certain doors closed so suddenly, why relationships dissolved without explanation, why you feel unseen while others seem celebrated. But the truth is, the higher the calling, the deeper the carving, you are being shaped in private for influence in public. God hides His treasures until the time of unveiling. And right now, you are still in the shaping hands of the Master. The Spirit of God is not allowing you to forget who you are. Every time you try to drift away, He calls your name through circumstance, through conviction, through the quiet ache of your soul. You may have felt abandoned, but heaven has been closer than your breath. You have not been rejected, you've been reserved. As was written in the book of Psalms, chapter 139, verse 16, Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me, they're written in your book, before one of them came to be. Before you ever took your first breath, your path was written. Every rise, every fall, every moment of silence, already inscribed. You are walking inside a plan that was crafted by divine intelligence. That's why the weight feels different for you. You cannot live lightly when eternity is written on your back. Even in your most fragile moments, God's hand never left you. The pain that tried to break you only revealed the power you carry. Each scar on your heart became evidence that the Lord trusted you with warfare. Few could survive. That's why the loneliness has been intense. It was heaven's way of making sure you learned to recognize His voice above all others. There will come a time when the silence you hated will become the wisdom you live by. You will look back and realize that every unanswered prayer was actually divine strategy. The delay protected you from counterfeit promises. The disappointment preserved your anointing. The rejection redirected you to destiny. None of it was wasted. All of it was sacred. Do not despise your process. Do not compare your journey with those who seem to move faster. They may run ahead for a season, but only those who are anchored in obedience endure the storm. God is not building something temporary in you. He is constructing something eternal. That takes time. And time is the furnace of faith. You were handpicked for a purpose that demands depth, not speed. The ones called to carry revelation cannot live casually. Their steps must be precise. So, when you feel the divine pause, don't misinterpret it as punishment. It's alignment. Heaven is positioning you for impact far beyond what you can see. Your hidden season has not been wasted. It has been the incubation ground for glory. Every hidden prayer, every silent surrender, every private act of obedience has become a seed planted in eternal soil. The harvest is coming, but only after the refining is complete. Chosen one, let these words settle deep within you. Your journey is not a mistake. You were never forgotten. You were never left behind. God has been meticulously writing your becoming, shaping you into one who can stand when others fall. The process hurts, but it also hallowed you. It turned pain into power, wounds into wisdom, and silence into strength. One day soon, you will understand why you couldn't skip this part. For now, rest in knowing that heaven's hand is still steady, still guiding, still guarding what it began. The weight of being chosen may feel unbearable at times, but that same weight is also the evidence of your calling. You are not just surviving it, you are being transformed by it. And when that transformation is complete, light will pour from your life in ways words cannot contain. You will realize the weight was never a curse. It was the crown being formed within you. There was purpose in the silence. But now the silence begins to break. You have survived what was meant to destroy you, and heaven is ready to reveal what it built in secret. The lessons you learned in hiding are now your weapon. The scars you carry are proof of survival. But more than that, they are evidence of divine authorship. Every bruise has become a message. Heaven can now broadcast through you. Still, before God releases you fully, there is one last confrontation. It is not with the world, not with your enemies, but with your own hesitation. You know what He told you to do, yet something inside trembles at the thought of stepping forward. The Spirit is pressing on that fear right now. You cannot stay silent anymore. The season of being invisible has ended, and the voice you tried to bury must now rise. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 7, "But we have this treasure in jars of clay, to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us." Do you hear it? Chosen one, you carry treasure within fragile flesh. God deliberately wrapped power inside weakness, so the world would see His glory through you. Every time you felt small, He was preparing to magnify Himself through your obedience. The cracks in your life are not shameful. They are windows where His light escapes. There will never be a perfect time to begin. There will only be obedience or delay. And delay has already cost you too much peace. Heaven's agenda is moving, and your name is written in it. The message you carry is needed now. The people you are called to reach are already waiting. You are not too late, and you are not unqualified. You are simply being summoned. You don't need the approval of anyone to start walking. You only need the courage to say, yes. Every chosen one must face this threshold where fear whispers louder than faith. and yet faith steps forward anyway. This is that moment for you. The hesitation must end, because destiny does not wait for convenience. The Spirit of God is clearing the fog in your mind. What you thought was confusion is simply conviction demanding expression. You cannot keep your fire locked inside. The world is starving for authenticity, and your story carries the very light they need. You have been through the valley, and that valley gave you a voice that carries authority. Speak from that place. Walk from that place. Lead from that place. Every time you wanted to quit, heaven took note. Every time you rose again, angels recorded it as victory. You've proven that you can withstand storms, and now God is saying, release what I've placed inside you. You are not stepping out empty-handed. You are stepping out with divine power that has been forged in private battles. You can sense the shift even now. The hesitation is losing its grip. The same fire that once whispered now roars inside you. You are awakening to the truth that you were never waiting on permission, you were waiting on confirmation. And this is it. The Spirit says, go, Olive, and as you rise, the heavens align around your obedience. What once resisted you will now yield to your authority. What once seemed impossible will begin to bend beneath your faith. You are walking into a realm where every act of surrender unlocks miracles. Every word you speak carries impact, and every step becomes prophecy. This is your moment to declare your readiness to break the silence that fear built. Type these words below as a sign that you hear heaven clearly. I will rise. Say it not as a wish, but as a decree. When you write it, you agree with heaven's timing. You tell the unseen world, I refuse to stay buried in doubt. I will rise into what God has marked for me. Let those 3 words echo beyond the screen. Let them mark this turning point in your journey. For the ones truly chosen never remain hidden forever. Type, I will rise, because this is not just a comment, it is covenant language. When you write it, heaven registers your surrender as obedience, and obedience always unlocks acceleration. Type, I will rise. It's your declaration against delay, fear, and doubt. Those 3 words become spiritual fire, announcing that the season of hiding is over and your purpose is now active. Type, I will rise. Let it echo through the unseen realm. Every letter you type is a strike against darkness, a visible act of faith that says, I choose divine elevation. M. There is a moment in every divine journey when the breaking comes, when everything you thought you understood begins to collapse, and all that remains is trust. You have reached that point before the place where pain stripped away everything familiar. What you didn't see then was that heaven was not destroying you, it was building you. The breaking was not the end, it was the beginning of becoming. When God chooses someone, He never hands them comfort first. He hands them process. The breaking is the first language of transformation. It is the sound of heaven reshaping your foundation so it can carry greater weight. Every chosen one must endure that sacred undoing. What feels like falling apart is actually divine reconstruction. You remember how it felt the nights when tears replaced words, when silence seemed louder than prayer, when you couldn't recognize yourself anymore. You asked why God allowed it, why He didn't intervene sooner. But now, with clearer eyes, you can see that every tear was watering seeds of strength. The darkness was not absence, it was incubation. We read in the book of Isaiah, chapter 66, Verse 9. Shall I bring to the point of birth, and not cause to bring forth, says the Lord. That is God's reminder. He does not bring you to the edge of transformation only to abandon you there. The same hand that breaks also births. The same voice that commanded light out of chaos is commanding purpose out of your pain. You have not been left in fragments. You are being reassembled in divine order. What was shattered is being reformed, piece by piece, into something stronger than before. Every broken area has been touched by grace. Every wound has been filled with wisdom. The crushing you endured was not for destruction, it was calibration. God was adjusting your heart, your motives, your discernment. The process made sure you would carry glory with humility. Those who have never been broken cannot truly carry compassion. But you, chosen one, have felt the weight of sorrow deeply enough to understand the value of mercy. You know how it feels to walk with pain and still choose faith. That is why your endurance has become your testimony. The power of your story will not come from how quickly you escaped the storm, but from how faithfully you worshipped in the middle of it. The world sees scars as evidence of failure, but heaven sees them as signatures of authenticity. Your scars are proof that you didn't give up when quitting seemed easier. They are reminders that grace held you when strength could not. There is nothing wasted in your history, not one mistake, not one moment of weakness. God is the master of redemption, and He has already woven every broken thread into a design that glorifies Him. There is beauty emerging from your ashes, a new rhythm forming within you. The heaviness that once pressed you down has turned into the very fuel that now lifts you higher. You've learned that surrender is not defeat, it is alignment. The breaking stripped away every illusion that you could do this on your own. And now, standing in the light of what you've survived, you finally understand. Dependence on God was never weakness. It was the secret to power. The ones who carry fire are always the ones who walked through the furnace. You have been refined by the very flames that tried to consume you. The same heat that once felt unbearable has burned away everything unnecessary, leaving only the essence of who you were created to be. You are no longer the same. The breaking changed your rhythm, sharpened your discernment, and purified your purpose. Even now, heaven looks upon you not with pity, but with pride. You have endured the test, and though the battle marked you, it did not defeat you. Every scar glows with the evidence of divine survival. You have become the testimony of restoration itself, a living symbol that broken does not mean finished. The breaking built you, the crushing crowned you, the fire refined you, and from this point forward, you will never walk as a victim again, but as a vessel carrying the weight of glory that only those who endured the breaking can truly hold. You no longer fear the breaking, for now you know it births power. What once wounded you has become the doorway where divine strength continually pours through. The fire no longer threatens you, it answers to you. Every flame that tested you now recognizes your authority. For you emerged, not burnt, but blazing with holy purpose. There comes a time when the voice inside you grows stronger than the noise around you. You have reached that time. The same God who carried you through nights of breaking is now calling you to rise and walk with new confidence. The silence has turned into a sound, your sound, and heaven is amplifying it. You can feel the shift deep within your chest. What once felt heavy now feels holy. The tears that used to fall in confusion are now watering the soil of your next season. There is fruit coming from what once was pain. You are standing on the border between what was and what will be, and the bridge between them is obedience. The apostle wrote in the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest, if we do not give up." Oh, do you hear that? You are standing in the proper time, the years of endurance, of faith when no one applauded, of sowing when no one saw all of it was building to this moment. Heaven rewards consistency. The Father has not forgotten your secret obedience. He has seen every act of faith that cost you comfort. And now he whispers again, "Keep going." But you are not meant to walk this journey alone. Every chosen one walks surrounded by others whose hearts burn with the same fire. When we gather, when we lift, when we speak, when we stand together, our light multiplies. This message, this space, is more than words on a screen. It is a flame that spreads each time someone shares, each time someone listens, each time someone decides, "I will not quit." End of teen. If this message has reached you, let it move through you. Share it, like passing a torch through darkness, so another weary traveler may find their way. Like this message, not for numbers, but as a gentle tap that says, "This truth still breathes here." And subscribe not to a channel, but to a rhythm of light, so you never lose the echo of heaven's voice in your everyday noise. Now, if your heart feels stirred to go one step further to become part of the hands that carry this fire, then listen closely. Imagine a small candle in a vast cathedral. Its glow reaches only so far, until another candle leans close to borrow its flame. One by one, the room fills with warmth and light. That is what happens each time someone gives. To donate is not to pay, it is to pour. It is to say, "Let my small flame join this great fire." It is voluntary, sacred partnership, a quiet yes whispered between your spirit and heaven's call. Giving is not a transaction, it's participation. It is saying, "I believe in what God is doing here, and I want to be part of keeping the flame alive." You are never pressured to give. It is never a condition. It is simply a voluntary act of love, a whisper that says, "I choose to help carry light into more hearts." Stay. Whether you offer a prayer, a word of encouragement, or a donation that helps these messages reach further, each action matters. It's how the unseen kingdom expands. When you pour out, heaven always pours back in ways you cannot measure. Sometimes through peace, sometimes through provision, always through presence. If you feel led, you can find the link or the way to give in the description or community page. Treat it like planting a seed into good ground. You are not losing something, you are releasing it into divine soil, trusting that God will multiply what you give in ways only He can. But even if you do nothing else today, no click, no gift, no share, let this truth settle. You are seen, you are chosen, and you are part of something sacred. This space exists because people like you keep believing that words can still carry light, that faith can still awaken hearts, and that together we can still push back the dark. So breathe. Chosen one, you have come through fire, and you are still shining. Keep walking in obedience. Keep letting your life speak louder than your fear. And as you do, know that heaven is smiling. The light within you was never meant to flicker out. it was meant to ignite others. Your light is proof that heaven still breathes through willing hearts. Keep it burning. Every step you take becomes a spark, guiding someone else home. What you carry is eternal flame, not fragile glow. Protect it, feed it, and let it spill into the world until even darkness begins to remember the light. The journey never truly slows for the chosen. Each lesson leads to another mountain, another test of trust, another moment when faith must speak louder than fear. You've seen what happens when you obey. Doors open, hearts heal, peace returns. But you've also seen what happens when you resist. The silence deepens, the light dims. That's because obedience is not suggestion, it's sacred design. You cannot skip what was written for your becoming. You've walked through fire, through loss, through questions without answers. Yet here you are, still standing, not because life was kind, but because grace refused to let you fall apart. There is something in you that won't quit, even when everything else says it should. That something is divine endurance. The Spirit placed it inside you for moments like this, when quitting feels easier, but destiny demands continuation. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it lingers, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." End quote. The promise still stands, even if it lingers. What you are waiting for is not denied, it's maturing. The vision is not gone, it's growing roots beneath the surface. You may not see progress, but heaven does. There are movements in the unseen aligning perfectly with your obedience. When the appointed time comes, everything will shift in a single breath. But until that moment, God requires your endurance. You cannot rush the process that shapes your spirit. You cannot demand fruit without first embracing growth. Every waiting season is not wasted. It's refining you for responsibility. There are things you prayed for that you were not yet ready to carry. But through this wilderness, readiness is being formed. The waiting has purpose. The silence is strategy. Heaven has not forgotten your name. It has been preparing the stage where your obedience will shine. And this right now is still part of the script. You are living the chapters that prophets once dreamed about. The testing is proof that heaven still trusts you with sacred weight. Sometimes, you think you've been forgotten because you no longer feel the same fire you once did. But even embers still burn beneath the ashes. God is not absent, He is steady, patient, shaping you through stillness. When He speaks again, the instruction will come with clarity, so sharp it silences all confusion. That's why you must not give up now. Do not mistake delay for denial. Heaven's clock is never slow, it's precise. You are being positioned in the exact second where everything must align. When the divine signal comes, you'll look back and see why every pause mattered. Nothing was random. Every tear was counted. Every step directed. The choreography of heaven wastes nothing. The Spirit whispers now, hold the line. The finish is closer than you think. You are about to step into what others will call sudden. But you will know it wasn't sudden at all. It was years in the making. You've endured storms, fought unseen battles, and stayed when walking away looked easier. That faith will not go unrewarded. Chosen one, let these words settle deep. You are not late. You are in alignment. The pain has purpose. The pause has power. and the promise still has breath. You were not meant to merely survive, you were meant to emerge stronger, clearer, unstoppable. Every second of obedience writes your name deeper into heaven's story. So right now, mark this moment in faith. Comment the number 222 below. It symbolizes divine confirmation, unity, and balance. When you write 222, you declare, I choose peace in the waiting. I trust the process. I align with heaven's perfect timing. This is not superstition, it is symbolism. Heaven often speaks in patterns, and 222 represents the steady rhythm of purpose, unfolding exactly as designed. It's a number of harmony between promise and patience, of heaven's order meeting human obedience. When you type it, do so slowly, consciously, like a vow. Feel the peace that comes with trust. You are saying to the unseen realm, I am not rushing ahead anymore. I am walking in step with divine timing. And 2, let that number stand as your covenant of calm confidence. The delay is not the denial, it's the development. And when the time strikes, what has been forming quietly in the background will rise in full glory. Write on, schedule, and when that divine moment arrives, everything will unfold effortlessly. You will see how every pause was precision, every silent strategy, every waiting moment, the womb of your becoming. You have learned that waiting is not weakness, it is wisdom disguised as stillness. Every delay has trained your spirit to hear what hurried hearts cannot discern. The noise of the world begs for speed, for instant results, but the chosen must move at the pace of heaven. You have discovered that obedience has a rhythm, one that is often slower than your emotions, but stronger than your understanding. In the quiet of these lessons, God has been teaching you something few can grasp, that patience is not the absence of motion, it's motion surrendered. When you stopped fighting the process, when you stopped questioning the timing, something sacred awakened inside you. It was peace, not the kind that disappears with trouble, but the kind that sits unshaken in the middle of uncertainty. That peace was the mark of maturity. You learned that trust is not proven when everything works, but when nothing does and you still refuse to doubt his hand. Each unanswered question became an altar where faith was tested and purified. You may not have realized it then, but heaven was watching, recording every decision, every surrender, every moment you chose faith over frustration. We find in the book of Romans, chapter 5, verse 3, we glory in tribulations, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, character and character, hope, emdara, and there it is, the divine pattern. What you thought was punishment was actually preparation. The trial was never about loss, it was about construction. God was building something in you that could not be shaken by circumstance or silenced by doubt. You became the product of perseverance, the embodiment of refined faith. There are parts of your story no one will ever fully understand, and that's exactly how it's meant to be. Some lessons are too holy to be explained. They can only be lived. Your scars speak a language older than words. They testify of endurance, of prayers whispered in exhaustion, of divine strength that held you when logic couldn't. Those moments are the sacred ink heaven used to write your authority. You've noticed how differently you walk now. You no longer rush ahead like before. You pause more often. Breathe more deeply. Listen more carefully. You understand that divine timing is not delay but protection. The doors that didn't open were never meant to hold your blessing. The people who left were never meant to carry your calling. Everything that stayed was divinely approved, and everything that left was divinely removed. There is a quiet confidence growing in you now. You no longer need loud confirmations to believe what God said. You no longer need proof when you already have peace. The same peace that once felt distant now lives within you, steady as breath, guiding each decision with divine rhythm. What you've endured has given you eyes to see differently. You recognize divine fingerprints in small details, a delayed call, an unexpected encounter, a sudden nudge of intuition. You've learned that these are not coincidences, but coordinates. Heaven speaks in subtleties, and your sensitivity is your strength. You are no longer moved by chaos. You move by discernment. And yet, even with all you've learned, God continues to stretch you. The chosen are never stagnant. Every season of stillness is followed by a season of stretching. But this time, you face it with calm authority, knowing the stretching does not signal punishment, but expansion. What once terrified you now excites you, because you've seen how every breaking before was birthing something greater. The world will soon see what heaven already knows, that you have been transformed, not into someone new, but into who you truly were all along. Every delay has peeled back layers of fear, revealing the radiant strength hidden beneath. You are not waiting for your moment anymore. You are becoming it. There is a shift taking place quietly inside you, a readiness that wasn't there before. The voice of God that once sounded distant now feels like your own heartbeat. You've learned to move in rhythm with His will, not ahead of it, not behind it. This is spiritual maturity, to walk without needing to see, to trust without needing to understand, to obey without needing to feel. You've crossed from striving to surrender, from wondering to knowing, from waiting to walking. What was once heavy now feels holy. What once frightened you now fuels you. The wilderness didn't weaken you, it crowned you with wisdom. And that wisdom will guide every next step you take. One deliberate, motion at a time. The waiting has done its work. You no longer wrestle with God's pace. You've learned the art of rest, the beauty of alignment, the strength of stillness. You carry peace like armor now, and nothing can easily shake you again. What the world calls delay, heaven calls development. You are learning that timing is one of God's greatest tools for transformation. When He withholds something, it's not rejection, it's refinement. It's not that He doesn't want to bless you, it's that He refuses to bless you prematurely. And in that divine restraint, you are being perfected in patience, trained in trust, and built in balance. You've discovered that growth rarely feels like growth while it's happening. It feels like confusion, tension, even loss. You feel stretched between what you once were and what you are becoming. But this stretch is sacred. It's the pull of purpose, expanding your spirit, stretching your capacity to love deeper, to believe bigger, to endure longer. Every chosen one must feel this tension. It's how heaven ensures that your character matches your calling. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 18, verse 6. Like clay in the hand of the potter, so are you in my hand. No, and that is exactly where you've been in the potter's hands. Not abandoned, not forgotten, but molded. Sometimes he presses hard, shaping corners of your soul that you didn't even know were misshapen. Sometimes he spins the wheel faster than you think you can handle. Yet, through it all, his hands never leave you. The pressure you feel is not cruelty, it's creation. You are becoming a vessel fit for divine purpose. There are moments in this process when you feel like you've lost control, like everything familiar has slipped from your grasp. But what feels like losing control is really learning trust. The potter's wheel doesn't spin to dizzy you, it spins to balance you. Each rotation is a new perspective, a new test of surrender, a new revelation that you are never safer than when you are in his grip. It is only in the spin that you begin to understand surrender. True faith isn't saying, "I trust you," when everything is calm. It's whispering those same words when you can't see where the wheel will stop. You've been there, blind, unsure, stretched to the edge, and yet, through every turn, he held you steady. That's the quiet miracle of divine molding. He shapes you without shattering you. You've come to recognize that discomfort is a divine language. The things that irritate your peace are often indicators of areas God is addressing. The conversations that sting, the circumstances that press, the feelings that challenge you all are chisels in the sculptor's hand. You are being refined not because you failed, but because you were chosen for excellence. Heaven doesn't polish what it plans to hide, it polishes what it plans to display. Even now, the potter's work in you is not finished. There are still fine details being carved, places where pride used to live, habits that no longer serve your future, fears that once controlled your faith. He is still smoothing, still shaping, still sanctifying. And though you may feel the pressure, remember this: pressure is proof of proximity. He presses most on what he holds closest. Look back for a moment. The you that once resisted is now receptive. The you that once fought every delay now understands its purpose. What was once pain has become perspective. You see now that the process was never punishment, it was partnership. God wasn't working against you, he was working with you, through you, and for you. There will come a moment soon when the wheel slows, when the shaping pauses, and you will see what he has formed. You will understand why the spinning lasted so long, why the pressure never eased, why surrender was necessary. You will look at yourself and realize every curve, every line, every contour was intentional. The potter wastes no clay. What he begins, he completes. You were never an accident in his workshop, you were an assignment. Every flaw he reshaped became part of the design that makes you unique. The vessel that emerges from his hands will carry oil that cannot be poured through untested hearts. So, rest in his rhythm. Let the wheel spin as long as it needs to. Let his hands press wherever they must. For when he is finished, you won't just be whole, you'll be holy. The same hands that shaped you in secret will soon lift you for purpose in public. And everyone will see what heaven already knows. The potter never fails his clay. The shaping may have felt endless, but now the design is clear. Every pressure, every spin was precision, sculpting you into a vessel of unwavering strength and purpose. When the potter lifts you, the world will see his fingerprints all over your life. What once felt like breaking now glows as divine craftsmanship fulfilled. There comes a point when revelation collides with realization, when what you've learned privately must now live publicly. You have been formed, refined, and reshaped. And now heaven begins to reveal what it has built in secret. This is the turning point, where hidden preparation meets visible purpose. The potter's work is complete enough for display, but before the unveiling, there is always one final test, the test of focus. The enemy cannot destroy what God has built, so he tries to distract it. He cannot stop the anointing, so he whispers confusion, doubt, and noise. You must recognize this for what it is, not a new battle, but an old trick. Distraction is deception disguised as urgency. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 11, "Put on the whole armor of God, so that you can stand against the schemes of the devil." This is the moment to stand, fully clothed in truth, discernment, and confidence. You have fought too hard to lose focus now. The same spirit that sustained you through the furnace will keep you steady in the spotlight. But you must stay alert. The enemy waits for exhaustion, for moments when your guard lowers and your emotions rise. Yet this time, you know better. You have been trained by trial. You have learned the patterns of distraction. Now you can see the difference between divine opportunity and demonic imitation. Not every open door is yours to walk through. Some doors gleam with false light, built to lure you off your path. That's why discernment has been your greatest gift. Every no you said, every delay you endured, has sharpened your spiritual vision. You can now sense what others overlook. And still, the battle is not only external, it's internal. Your mind becomes the field where obedience must be guarded. You must silence the whispers that say you're not enough, not ready, not chosen. Those are echoes of an old season. You no longer live there. The truth is, you have everything you need for what comes next. Heaven has already equipped you. This is not the time to shrink back or second-guess the call. The light within you is not arrogance, it's evidence. When you walk in authority, you are not boasting in yourself, but in the one who sent you. The enemy trembles not because you are perfect, but because you are aligned. Every time you choose peace over panic, heaven records victory. Every time you refuse compromise, you strengthen your crown. Every decision you make now shapes the atmosphere around you. You are no longer reacting to darkness, you are dictating it. You are not waiting for change, you are becoming it. Your steps carry authority now. Even in silence, your presence shifts the spiritual climate. When you enter a room, light enters with you. You've become the answer to prayers someone else is still whispering. That's how heaven moves through willing vessels who stayed when others fled. And though the opposition may rise, remember this truth: no attack can undo what obedience has established. The foundation under your feet was built in fire. It cannot be shaken by storm. You are walking in a grace that confuses the enemy because you should have broken by now. Yet you're stronger than ever. The Spirit says, guard your focus. Protect your peace. Keep walking. Every step you take from here will echo with authority. The same fire that once purified you now goes before you as protection. Nothing formed against you can prevail, because you are no longer walking alone. You walk with heaven's army beside you. So, if this word stirs something inside you, let your spirit answer in agreement. Comment, I stand firm. Write it not as routine but as resistance. When you type those words, you're declaring to the unseen world, I refuse to be moved. I will not waver. I will guard what God has built in me. Let this be your decree short, strong, spiritual. You are no longer fragile clay. You are fortified purpose. And the one who stands firm will soon see promise become fulfillment. Type I, stand firm. Because when you declare it, you anchor your spirit in strength. You remind both heaven and hell that your faith is not negotiable, your ground unshakable. Type, I stand firm. These 3 words become your armor. They silence fear, dismantle confusion, and signal to the unseen that your spirit has chosen conviction over comfort. Type, I stand firm, not as defiance, but devotion. It's your vow to remain rooted in divine truth, no matter the storm. Every letter you type builds your wall of spiritual endurance. When the dust of battle settles and silence returns, something extraordinary happens. You begin to hear your own heartbeat again. It's slower now, steadier, synchronized with heaven's rhythm. You realize that what once felt like chaos was choreography. Every battle, every pause, every prayer was part of a divine dance, meant to bring you into perfect alignment with purpose. This is the point where many grow weary, where routine replaces reverence. But you, chosen one, know better. You've seen too much, endured too deeply, to mistake peace for passivity. What you carry is living fire, and it burns brighter when shared. The light was never meant to stay hidden in one heart. It was meant to ignite others. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 34, verse 8. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him. You've tasted that goodness, even in your wilderness. You've seen mercy find you in your lowest valley. Now, heaven asks something simple, not out of duty, but devotion. Let what you've received flow outward. Every time you share what has touched your soul, you are planting light in dark corners. When you share this message, it's like releasing a lantern into the night sky. You never know whose darkness it might pierce, whose hope it might reignite. When you like this message, it's not just an action, it's a gentle amen. A small echo that tells heaven, this word found good ground in me. And when you subscribe, think of it as joining a stream, one that carries living water from message to message, keeping your soul nourished and your faith refreshed. But there's more, a quieter invitation, one that cannot be commanded. It's about giving, not because you must, but because love longs to build. Imagine a lighthouse on a stormy coast. It's light, steady, unwavering. That lighthouse doesn't burn by accident, it burns because hands, unseen and faithful, keep its flame alive. To donate is to be one of those hands. You're not buying light, you're helping keep it burning. You're not fulfilling an obligation, you're extending your heart into a mission that reaches souls you may never meet. Every small offering becomes a drop of oil poured into the lamp of this message, ensuring that its glow never fades. Picture this, a seed in the palm of your hand. It looks small, insignificant, yet inside it sleeps a forest. That is what your giving becomes, potential waiting to awaken. Each seed of generosity planted here grows into trees of testimony elsewhere. Lives are changed, hearts healed, And all because someone like you decided that their light should multiply. And know this, your giving is not measured by size, but by sincerity. Heaven doesn't count coins, it counts motives. Even the smallest act of support, done with love, becomes eternal currency in God's economy. You are not asked to give out of pressure, but out of purpose. The most beautiful offerings are those born from gratitude, not guilt. You may not realize it, but when you help keep this light burning through your sharing, your kindness, your giving, you are becoming part of a spiritual chain that stretches across nations. Each person touched becomes another lantern lit, another echo of hope in the dark. The circle widens, and you, quietly, are part of that miracle. Still, even if all you do is listen and breathe in these words, that, too, is holy. Sometimes the offering heaven asks for is attention, the willingness to stop and let truth rest inside your chest. So whether you give, or share, or simply sit in stillness, it all matters. It all echoes. What began as a whisper inside your heart is turning into movement. You are not just hearing the message anymore, you are becoming it. That's how revival starts. Not in crowds, but in single souls who dare to live what they've learned. So, as this moment settles over you, let gratitude rise quietly for all that's been given, for all that's to come, for the sacred chance to be part of something that keeps light alive. Like, share, subscribe, give, but only if your heart smiles when you do. That's the sign, it's worship, not obligation. Let it be an act of beauty, freely chosen, quietly, holy. And remember, every act of light you release returns multiplied. The same God who filled your empty places will fill again and again, until your life itself becomes the message. And as your light travels outward, unseen hearts will feel its warmth. What you give, even in silence, becomes a ripple of grace that never truly ends. There is a certain calm that settles after the storm, a stillness that feels almost foreign at first. It's quiet, yet it hums with purpose. You can sense that something has shifted, not just around you, but within you. The noise that once dictated your emotions has faded, replaced by a deep knowing that cannot be shaken. You are no longer reacting to life. You are responding to divine rhythm. This quiet is not emptiness, it's alignment. Heaven often whispers in peace what it shouted through pain. The silence you stand in now is not absence. It is sacred preparation for the next unveiling. You have learned to walk slowly, to listen deeply, to move when led, and stay when told. You have become fluent in stillness, and that fluency is a rare form of power. It was spoken in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Those words are not a call to laziness, but to trust. You've spent enough of your life fighting battles that were never yours to begin with. Now, you are learning the art of surrendering the sword. Stillness does not mean doing nothing. It means doing only what heaven asks. It is movement guided by peace instead of pressure. This season has taught you discernment. You've discovered that not every opportunity deserves your yes. You've learned that some battles are simply bait, designed to drain your energy and distract your focus. You know now that peace is your compass. If you lose it, you've wandered from divine direction. Every no you've spoken in obedience has become a guardrail protecting your purpose. And through it all, you've realized something profound. Not every storm was sent by the enemy. Some storms were scheduled by God to clear what you refuse to release. When He wants to protect you, He sometimes removes people, positions, or plans that can't carry your next chapter. What felt like loss was actually rescue. You didn't lose peace, you gained perspective. The you who emerges from this process is unrecognizable to who you once were. You no longer seek validation. You embody conviction. You don't chase signs anymore. You've become one. Your walk itself preaches what words cannot. You have learned to let results be your roar. This peace you carry now is not fragile, it's fortified. It was built through sleepless nights and surrendered prayers. It is the product of pressure endured, of trust tested. The world around you may tremble, but your inner world remains anchored. That stability is not natural, it's supernatural. It's the mark of someone who has seen too much of God to ever doubt Him again. Sometimes you wonder why you no longer fit into spaces you once belonged. It's because you've outgrown them. Peace will always feel uncomfortable among chaos. What used to attract you now repels you. Not out of pride, but because your spirit recognizes when something isn't aligned anymore. That is discernment maturing into wisdom. You've come to understand that stillness doesn't mean stagnation, it's strategic preparation. Beneath the calm surface, heaven is aligning details you could never organize yourself. The delay is divine choreography. The quiet is incubation. Even when you feel like nothing is happening, something holy always is. And while others may rush ahead, mistaking movement for progress, you now walk at the pace of purpose. You've learned that rushing ahead of God leads only to exhaustion, but walking with Him leads to revelation. What's being written in your story now is not rushed, it's refined. Every sentence is sacred ink. Every pause, intentional punctuation. This stillness has also taught you intimacy. You have met God not just as creator, but as companion. You have found His whisper in ordinary places, His comfort in silence, His instruction in rest. What used to feel distant now feels near. Because He never left you, simply learned to listen. You are walking proof that peace is power. The same stillness that once frustrated you has become your fortress. The same waiting that once tested you has become your wisdom. This is what it means to mature in faith, to stop demanding proof and start carrying presence. So now, as you move forward, you do so quietly but confidently, carrying a calm that cannot be imitated. You've become a walking sanctuary, a vessel through which heaven breathes peace into chaos. You are not just surviving, you are stabilizing the world around you. And this, too, is divine purpose fulfilled. Your stillness now speaks louder than any battle cry. It tells the world you trust the unseen hand guiding you, and that peace, not noise, is your greatest power. Every chosen one must pass through the narrow space where faith meets fulfillment, the moment right before the promise manifests. It is a sacred tension, a breath held between endings and beginnings. You can feel it now, can't you? That quiet anticipation pressing in your chest. It is not anxiety, it is divine alignment drawing near. You have walked through wilderness and waiting. You have endured the molding, the fire, the silence. Now, Heaven begins to whisper that the shift is closer than it appears. Things are moving in the unseen, faster than your eyes can perceive. The winds of change are beginning to stir, not to frighten you, but to announce that God is preparing to reveal what He's been shaping within you. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 8. The Lord Himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. All those words are not just comfort, they are command. You are being told to release fear, to let go of hesitation, to step boldly into what's coming next. The same God who guided you through breaking is now guiding you through becoming. He is already standing in your future, clearing paths you haven't yet walked. But before this new chapter opens, heaven calls for something from you, a deeper trust, a louder yes, a willingness to move without visible proof. You may not see the full picture, but you feel the pull. That pull is not confusion, it's confirmation. God often moves His chosen ones by stirring their spirit before shifting their circumstances. You've already felt it, the restlessness, the sudden awareness that old surroundings no longer fit, that familiar places now feel foreign. It's not rejection, it's redirection. The grace that once covered your old season is lifting because your assignment is changing. This is not loss, this is leading. You must remember this. God never transitions you to torment you. He transitions you to transform you. The unknown is not empty, it's filled with everything He has prepared for you. Every unanswered prayer was never ignored. It was simply waiting for timing to catch up with calling. The Spirit has been whispering, prepare your heart. For what's next requires space. And that's what this entire process has been making, room. You had to let go of weight. You didn't realize, you carried. To empty your hands so you could receive what's coming. There will be signs, small but undeniable. Conversations that confirm what you felt in secret. Opportunities that arrive with perfect timing. Peace that appears where confusion once lived. All of it pointing toward one truth. You are being positioned for release. This next season will not demand as much striving as the last. You are moving from survival into flow, from testing into testimony. The same faith that carried you through fire will now carry you into fulfillment. What you built in private discipline, prayer, resilience will sustain you in public. You no longer have to fight for recognition. You only need to remain aligned. The light of obedience attracts the opportunities meant for you. The world may call it luck, but you will know it as divine orchestration. Everything that once made no sense will begin to fit like pieces falling into place. Chosen one, take a breath. You've reached the threshold between hiddenness and harvest. Heaven's clock has struck in your favor. But remember, the harvest still belongs to those who remain humble. You are stepping into favor, not fame, into purpose, not performance. Guard your heart. Stay grounded and walk softly under the weight of blessing. And now, to seal this moment of faith, let your heart respond. Comment the number 444 below. It represents divine order, stability, and completion under God's hand. When you write 444, you're saying, I trust that everything is falling into its rightful place. I choose to walk forward with peace, not fear. End of pread. This number is a declaration of structure, the alignment of heaven's architecture in your life. It means the foundation is set, The building has begun, and nothing can shake what God has established. When you type it, do so as an act of surrender and agreement. Let heaven see your faith in motion, your trust made visible. The walls you once prayed for are now forming around you, not to confine you, but to protect what is sacred. This is your moment to breathe, to stand still, and to whisper, "It is time." Heaven hears you, and the shift begins. The shift begins quietly, almost imperceptibly. There is no thunder this time, no grand announcement, just a steady unfolding. It feels like sunrise after a long night. Gentle, yet certain. You don't need proof anymore because peace has already confirmed what your spirit knew. The season has turned. This is what divine alignment feels like, not sudden chaos, but seamless transition. You no longer have to force what flows naturally. What once resisted you now recognizes you. You've stepped into the rhythm of grace, and everything around you begins to adjust accordingly. The doors that open now will not require you to beg or prove yourself. They will swing wide because heaven authored them. It was spoken in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. And this is that moment. The rising is not about recognition, it's about revelation. The light that now radiates from your life is not borrowed. It was born through every hidden trial, every surrendered tear. You are glowing with the residue of refinement. The very places that once broke you have become the altars that now bless you. Look around. You'll notice how peace follows you into every space. Conversations feel lighter, connections feel genuine, and doors open without strain. That's not coincidence, it's confirmation. When heaven authorizes movement, even the atmosphere shifts to accommodate purpose. You are walking beneath an invisible banner that reads, "Appointed." End. And yet, even in this new ease, humility must remain your compass. Elevation, without reverence, always ends in ruin. The higher God takes you, the lower your posture must become. You will need to remember that what you carry was never meant for display, but for service. The crown you bear is not for decoration, it is for responsibility. You have become a vessel of restoration. People will be drawn to the calm you carry, to the clarity that flows from you. Many will not understand it, but they will feel it. That is your ministry, being peace in a world addicted to panic. You don't have to preach loudly, your life itself preaches. Your gentleness is authority. Your patience is influence. Your presence is proof. You are now the kind of person who walks into chaos and order begins to return. You don't need to force it, you simply are it. Heaven's atmosphere flows through you. And that is why peace follows you like a shadow. The battles you once fought internally are now conquered territories. You stand where you once stumbled, and others will walk safely on ground you stabilized through endurance. But even in this strength, God keeps you tender. The same fire that forged you keeps your heart soft. You can now feel deeply without being drowned, carefully without being consumed. This balance is the mark of maturity. It's how heaven ensures that power never hardens the vessel. There will be moments when gratitude overwhelms you for no reason. Let it. That's your spirit, recognizing the goodness of God in every detail. You will see His fingerprints on ordinary moments, a kind word, a gentle breeze, a quiet pause. These are His ways of saying, "I'm still here. The relationship you've cultivated with Him is no longer based on need, but on nearness. This season, you won't need to chase blessings, they will chase you. But you'll also find that blessings no longer define you. You've learned that favor means stewardship, not superiority. You will treat every opportunity as sacred trust and every success as borrowed light. The true test of elevation is humility, and you have been prepared well for it. What lies ahead will not demand more striving, but more stillness. The power you carry now flows effortlessly because it's anchored in surrender. You will create, speak, build, and heal, but always from rest, never from rush. This is the maturity heaven waited for, the day when your doing flows from being. And when people ask how you reached this place, you won't boast. You'll simply smile and say, "Grace did it." Because that's the truth. Grace wrote your story. Grace carried your weight. And grace crowned your endurance. This is the beauty of divine completion, not noise, not spectacle, but quiet fulfillment. You are living proof that when God finishes a work, it glows not to draw attention, but to draw others to the light. You shine now, not for approval, but for assignment. Every beam of your light points back to the source who turned your breaking into brilliance. And as you walk forward, grace continues to trail behind you, soft, steady, unmistakable, reminding the world that divine restoration always ends in radiant peace. The peace that surrounds you now is different. It doesn't depend on perfect conditions or easy days. It breathes from a deeper place. This is the kind of peace that has survived storms, outlasted fear, and proven itself stronger than circumstance. You've become fluent in serenity, not because life stopped challenging you, but because you stopped challenging what life brings. You have learned to trust that even chaos can serve divine order. There is a wisdom that only endurance can teach, and you carry it now like fragrance. You recognize that every battle was not random, it was curriculum. Each tear was tuition for understanding. Every delay, a hidden classroom. You've graduated from reaction into revelation. You see differently now. Where you once saw obstacles, you now see opportunities for growth. Where you once saw waiting as punishment, you now recognize it as preparation. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 5, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding." You've stopped leaning on your own logic because experience has proven that divine direction always outperforms human planning. There were times you couldn't see the path, but you learned that trust doesn't need visibility, it just needs obedience. Every time you chose trust over worry, you built invisible roads that are now becoming visible results. You can feel the gentle strength that comes from alignment. Life is no longer a series of scattered pieces, it's a mosaic being assembled by unseen hands. You may not understand every placement, but you know the artist is good. That realization brings a peace that logic can't argue with. You no longer chase explanations, you rest in assurance. And yet, this peace is not passive, it's active awareness. You walk carefully now, not in fear, but in reverence. You've seen too much grace to be careless with it. You treat moments as holy ground, understanding that God moves in details, not just destinies. You've become attentive to subtle shifts, gentle nudges, and soft instructions that carry eternal weight. Your discernment has sharpened. You can sense the tone of heaven even in simple things, a word spoken at the right time, an unexpected delay that saves you, a quiet conviction that reroutes you. You no longer need loud signs to know when God is speaking. His whisper is enough. That sensitivity is one of your greatest treasures. There are still challenges, of course. The difference now is that peace walks beside you in every one of them. Fear still knocks, but faith answers first. Doubt still visits, but it no longer stays. You've become familiar with victory, not as a moment, but as a mindset. You no longer define success by outcomes, but by obedience. You've also noticed something subtle. Your relationships are shifting. The more peaceful you become, the more easily chaos identifies itself and exits your life. This isn't loneliness, it's refinement. Peace protects itself by creating distance from anything that disturbs it. You no longer chase connections. You cultivate alignment. You attract those who speak the same spiritual language of rest, trust, and faith. This new stage of your journey is not about striving, but sustaining. God doesn't just want to bless you, He wants to stabilize you. True maturity is maintaining peace in motion, keeping calm while carrying calling. You've reached the point where storms no longer steal your song, they just change its rhythm. You understand now that every promise carries a pace, and you refuse to rush what is sacred. The greatest strength you possess is your ability to stay still until heaven says, move. You have become both anchor and sail, rooted enough to withstand, yet free enough to flow. The world around you will feel your transformation, even when you don't speak it. Your presence will calm chaos. Your words will carry weight, and your silence will communicate more than speeches ever could. You have become an instrument tuned to divine frequency, playing heaven's melody wherever you go. This peace, this balance, this quiet strength, it is the mark of divine craftsmanship completed in you. You are no longer the clay struggling under pressure. You are the vessel carrying purpose. And soon, the very presence that stabilized you will become the foundation you offer. Others, a living reminder that peace is not found, it is formed. You now walk as peace personified, a living temple of stillness in motion. Everywhere you go, the atmosphere bends toward calm and quiet strength. Your journey has carved wisdom into your soul. You carry it gently, letting others see through you that peace is possible, even in the storm. You have reached a sacred turning point, the place where your peace begins to overflow. No longer contained, it moves outward like ripples in still water, touching lives without you even trying. What was once your private restoration is now becoming a public revelation. You were never meant to keep this light hidden. It was always meant to travel. You've noticed how people lean in when you speak, how they quiet down when you walk into the room. They can feel it, that stillness, that grace, that calm authority. You don't even have to explain it anymore. The peace you carry preaches on its own. It's not perfection they feel from you, it's presence. This is what heaven was building all along, not a performer, not a warrior who fights endlessly, but a carrier of divine atmosphere. You are now a vessel through which heaven breathes calm into chaos. You've become the embodiment of a message silent, steady, luminous, as Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 6, verse 38. Give, and it will be given to you, a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. And that is the rhythm of divine generosity. The more you pour, the more heaven pours back. Light multiplies only when it's shared. The blessings you release never leave your life. They return refined and expanded. When you share this message, it's not about broadcasting words. It's about releasing warmth. Think of it as opening a window so light can escape and heal another soul still standing in darkness. When you like this message, imagine it as placing one small candle in the window of your spirit, a quiet signal that says, "Hope still lives here." When you comment, think of it as leaving your own spark among the embers, a small trace of your light that tells heaven, "I was here, shining too." Each word you write becomes a flicker, joining others, forming constellations of testimony across this sacred space. It's not about numbers, it's about connection. And when you subscribe, it's not joining a page. It's stepping into a circle of flame, a rhythm of souls who keep light alive by showing up again and again. The world is desperate for that light. Many have forgotten what peace feels like. Your small act of connection becomes their reminder. The simplest gesture, a click, a share, a moment of acknowledgement becomes a thread in heaven's tapestry of hope. And for those who feel stirred deeper, there's an even quieter invitation. Imagine this message as a garden planted by countless unseen hands, each voice that listens, each heart that gives, adds another flower to the field. To donate is not to pay, it is to plant. It is to place one seed in soil that has already proven it bears fruit. Every offering, no matter its size, becomes a root of continuity. It helps this field remain alive, nourished, blooming for the next weary soul who stumbles through the gate searching for rest. You are not giving away something, you are giving into something, into growth, into goodness, into light that keeps expanding. If you've ever seen the ocean at sunrise, you know what generosity feels like. The tide does not demand, it simply receives, then gives back, multiplied. That's how heaven's cycle works. You pour, and heaven refills. You give, and grace gathers. The exchange is always sacred. But even if your giving today is simply attention, it still counts. Sometimes the holiest gift is presence, listening with your whole heart, allowing truth to take root. That, too, sustains the light. Nothing here is demanded. Everything here is invitation. You are free to let your heart decide how to respond, whether it's through your words, your generosity, your quiet agreement. Every gesture becomes a language of worship. And perhaps that's the most beautiful truth of all. This message only lives when hearts like yours choose to keep it alive. Every time you share, every time you give, every time you whisper yes to what is sacred, heaven notices. So, as you stand here, light in your hands, decide what kind of flame you will be. One that burns alone, or one that spreads warmth wherever it goes. Share if your heart feels stirred, like if peace found you here. Comment if your spirit shines. Subscribe if you wish to walk this road again. And give only if joy leads you to. For in the end, light given freely is the only kind that lasts. And when freely given light meets open hearts, eternity remembers. What began as one spark becomes an unending fire of grace. The flame that once flickered now burns steadily. You no longer question whether it will last. You've learned to feed it with faith, to protect it with peace, What once required effort now flows like breathing. The same light that once wavered in fear now glows with quiet strength. It does not need attention. It simply exists. And in its existence, it changes everything it touches. This is the maturity of the chosen, the moment when your calling stops being something you chase and becomes something you carry. You no longer need constant confirmation to move forward. The voice of God that once thundered now whispers because He knows you. Recognize it. You've graduated from needing signs to trusting presence. That is growth. That is intimacy. Heaven speaks again through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 42, verse 2. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand. Those words are not just a memory of rescue, they are the testimony of establishment. You are no longer the one crying out from the pit. You are the one standing on the rock. You've been given stability after years of shaking. What once terrified you now teaches you. What once wounded you now strengthens you. There's something sacred about standing firm after falling so many times. The ground feels different under your feet, solid, certain, alive. You realize that faith was never about avoiding failure. It was about learning resurrection. Every time you rose again, heaven celebrated. Every scar you carry is an entry in the record of divine endurance. You've been rebuilt, not as who you were, but as who you were meant to become. You walk differently now, steady, deliberate, unhurried. You no longer sprint after destiny, you stroll with it. Purpose has become a companion, not a chase. You've learned to flow instead of force, to trust instead of toil. That shift has changed everything. Even your thoughts move slower, wrapped in wisdom rather than worry. The world around you might still spin in panic, but your soul has found its rhythm. You've learned the art of calm amidst chaos, the holy equilibrium, where storms still rage but never reach your center. That still point inside you is no longer fragile. It's fortified by the one who dwells within you. And yet, this peace doesn't make you passive. It gives you precision. You don't move often, but when you do, everything around you feels it. Your words carry weight now because they come from depth, not desperation. You've become a mirror of heaven's steadiness. There's a quiet authority in you that doesn't need to be announced. It simply is. You no longer argue with darkness, you outshine it. You no longer plead for favor, you walk in it. The same storms that once tested your faith now testify of it. Your survival has become your sermon. Your peace, its punctuation. This season is not about climbing, it's about carrying. You are carrying the evidence of what God can do with a surrendered life. People will see your stability and find safety in it. You have become what you once prayed for, a pillar, not a wanderer, a light, not a spark, a presence, not a noise. Still, you remain humble. You understand that even stability is stewardship. The same God who lifted you can lift others through you. You've realized that true greatness is not found in being seen, but in being useful. The higher you rise, the deeper your roots must go in grace. Every morning now feels like gratitude. You no longer wake up wondering why me, but whispering thank you. Every day feels like borrowed breath and sacred opportunity. You've stopped chasing tomorrow because you finally live in today. You understand now that the miracle was never in the moment of rescue, it was in the rebuilding. The real gift wasn't escape, it was endurance. You carry that awareness with gentle reverence, knowing that peace hard won is peace that lasts. This is what it means to be firmly planted, to live with both feet in purpose, both eyes on grace, and both hands open to whatever heaven brings next. You stand now as living proof that restoration is possible. Every breath you take carries the echo of battles won quietly through faith and relentless grace. The ground beneath you no longer trembles, it testifies. Stability has become your song, and heaven hums along, celebrating the strength of a soul finally settled in peace. The story that began with breaking now breathes with beauty. What once felt like a wilderness has become a garden. You have walked through dust, through fire, through the sound of your own doubts, and now you stand in the clearing, sunlight touching your face. You are not who you were when this began. You have been rewritten from the inside out. Every fracture has been filled with light. You can sense it, the quiet awe of completion. Not because everything is perfect, but because you finally see purpose, even in imperfection. You no longer crave escape. You crave expression. You want to live, to love, to pour, to be. That is the transformation of the chosen, to go from merely surviving to becoming a source of life for others. It was spoken in the book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 5. He who was seated on the throne said, "Behold, I am making all things new." Unquote. Those words aren't distant prophecy anymore. They are your present reality. Everything around you feels renewed because everything within you has been replaced by peace. Your perspective has shifted. What you once called loss, you now call learning. What you once labeled failure, you now understand as formation. Heaven didn't forget you. It was refining you for this. The newness doesn't come all at once. It unfolds like dawn. Light doesn't crash, it creeps softly until it fills every corner. That's how this feels. Every day reveals another layer of restoration. You are discovering joy, not as a feeling but as a state of being, even in silence. It hums within you, a melody written between your breaths. You are learning to move with grace, not urgency. The striving that once drained you has been replaced by sacred steadiness. You've realized that destiny doesn't demand speed, it demands sensitivity. You are no longer trying to make things happen, you are allowing them to happen through you. The difference is everything. When you lived in striving, you saw God as a destination to reach. Now you see Him as the rhythm within your steps. Every action feels lighter, not because the work is less, but because your weight is gone. You've stopped carrying what was never yours to hold. Your faith has matured from noise into knowing. You don't need to speak loudly anymore to be heard in heaven. Your silence is understood, your sighs translated, your stillness honored. You've reached the place where prayer no longer feels like reaching upward, but like breathing inward. Look at what peace has done. It has made you strong without making you hard, wise without making you weary, humble without making you small. You move now with quiet authority, unhurried and unafraid. That is the mark of those heaven has trained in hiddenness. You've become unshakable, not because you've never fallen, but because you learned how to rise right. Even the scars have changed. They no longer sting, they shine. Each one tells a story of survival turned to surrender, of pain turned to power, They remind you not of what you lost, but of what you gained: clarity, resilience, and a closeness to God that no comfort could have given. You now understand that the purpose of pain was never punishment. It was preparation. The same fire that threatened to consume you became the forge that formed you. You are not merely restored, you are refined, stronger, purer, clearer. The season ahead will not require the same fight. It will require flow. You are entering the ease of alignment, where obedience feels natural and grace feels near. This is the reward of endurance, to walk without resistance. And in this stillness, gratitude overflows. You no longer pray from desperation, but from delight. Every sunrise feels like a personal reminder that heaven kept its promise. Every breath feels like proof that mercy renews daily. You live now in quiet partnership with purpose, trusting that wherever you go, goodness follows. So here you stand whole, restored, radiant, not waiting for another miracle, because you've realized you already are one. You carry the fragrance of grace, the memory of mercy, and the power of peace. And as you walk forward, heaven smiles, for the journey is complete, not ended, but fulfilled. You walk now as living testimony that endurance births elegance. Every step leaves behind echoes of faith, tracing light through the shadows of those still finding their way. Your silence carries sermons. Your peace writes psalms. Wherever your presence lingers, confusion comes, and hearts remember that hope still breathes beneath every broken thing. And when you smile toward heaven, creation listens. The winds hush, the light bends, and even time itself seems to pause, honoring what grace has completed within you. The journey pauses here, but your story continues beyond this page. Everything you have read, felt, and carried through these words was never meant to end in silence. It was meant to awaken something sacred, something steady, something that glows quietly within you, even now. You've walked through valleys of refining and mountains of revelation. You've seen light rise from ashes and purpose grow from pain. What remains is not only your peace, it's your power to pass that peace onward. The light doesn't belong to you alone. It was given to you so it could travel. When you share this message, imagine it as releasing a small lantern into the night. You do not know whose darkness it might reach, whose heart it might quietly heal. When you like this message, think of it as striking flint to flame, letting heaven know, I'm still here. The light lives in me. When you comment, let your words be footprints of gratitude, traces of light left behind for others to follow. Each word written is a spark of connection across unseen distances. When you subscribe, you step into a living rhythm of faith, a continual gathering of souls who return, not out of habit, but out of hunger for the sacred. And when you donate, do not see it as giving away, see it as growing. It's planting one small seed of light in soil that will feed many. It's choosing to keep the lamp burning for hearts you'll never meet. None of these acts are demands. They are invitations, ways to keep this current of grace alive. Every gesture, no matter how small, keeps the flame breathing. So, as you close this chapter, pause for a heartbeat and whisper your quiet yes. Let gratitude move gently through you. Let light travel outward through every click, every gift, every thought turned toward good. You are no longer just a listener, you are a keeper of the flame. Carry it with tenderness. Let it move through you freely. Let it find the next soul ready to remember that they, too, are chosen.